Welcome into the NFL Pick Show from Pool Genius. My name is Spencer, and I'm joined by the lead analyst over at Pool Genius, Jason Lisk. And as we do every week, if you find this video helpful, really any of our videos over on the Pool Genius YouTube channel, go ahead, subscribe, like. It really helps us out. It really validates what we're doing over there, delivering these videos on a weekly basis. And speaking of which, in this video, we are going to run through some value picks for your game winner pools and spread pools. On top of that, Jason and I are going to give our favorite picks against the spread for this week. So how you doing, Jason? How are you looking at this week 7 upcoming?
I'm basking in the glow of the NFL conspiracy to keep giving my team wins. It has been a glorious thing, and I'll just continue to bask in the afterglow of all the discussion. So that's all I'm doing. That's why I got the Chiefs hat on, biggest favorite of the week. Not because my hair's messed up, not because, I'm lazy.
Yeah, nothing to do with that. But yeah, I'm wondering if you're taking the Chiefs this week. So or if you're going with the Raiders. Usually I'm like, anytime I see double digits in the NFL, it's either I'm taking the dog or I'm not betting the game. I don't know if we'll get to that game in here, but do you have any preliminary thoughts? And if you are saving that one for later, just say you're saving it for later.
No, I'm not saving for later. I mean, the Chiefs are rolling.
Yeah.
We pushed them to our completely unbiased take, by the way. They were slightly ahead as our top rated, power rated team for week 7 entering the week. Now the Lions are banged up. This is an at the moment power rating of this week, the teams that are going to be put on the field. But Chiefs have Rashee Rice back as of this week. The offense is starting to look good. They've been rolling. Mahomes is kind of back to that MVP level performance in the last 3 weeks. So I get why they're a heavy favorite of the Raiders, who've struggled. They were able to beat the Titans, but they haven't looked good since week 1. That said, it's a rivalry game. We saw, I think, a couple years ago on Black Friday, the Raiders came in with a really bad team. I think way worse than this one. Barely completed a pass, I think, for 3 quarters, and still took the Chiefs to the wire. We saw them come in on Christmas and beat the Chiefs at the end of a season here recently. So, I mean, it's a rivalry game. The Raiders, Chiefs hate each other. I would probably lean the points. But I think it's going to take the Chiefs having one of those sloppy games that they can't have, where they don't execute in the red zone. They turn the ball over on some tip passes, things like that have just won games already this year. I think it's going to take that kind of performance to really keep the Raiders in it.
Yeah, and I think it on the other side, it would take the Raiders actually playing a clean game and the Chiefs playing a sloppy game, which the Raiders still haven't put together 4 clean quarters. I mean, they had week 1 against New England, which it appears that was a huge anomaly. Like, that is not the Raiders team we've been seeing ever since.
For sure.
But yeah, let's get into these value picks. And one note that I want to make at the top of this before we get into it, our upset picks, we're moving that to a separate video. You can find that posted around the same time as this NFL picks video. It will have our top 3 upset picks of the week. That's usually a segment in this video, but separated out now. We'll have a link to that below, and you can also find it on our channel. So the first value pick in game winner pools this week, Jason, we are looking at the Minnesota Vikings coming off a bye at home, hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. They are about a 1-point dog, 1 to 2-point dog, as we see it here on Wednesday afternoon. Pool Genius, we actually give them 51.2% win odds, which is bumping them up a little bit from their Vegas implied win odds. And the public's only picking them at about 24%. So the public coming in a little high on the Eagles, not much of a surprise. Super Bowl winners. The public's always going to perceive them as one of those premier teams, and they still might be, but they really haven't been showing it lately. So, I mean, you put all that together, there are some question marks for the Vikings. We don't know who's going to play quarterback as we're recording this on Wednesday. However, the offensive line is a little bit healthier. They had a bye week to regroup. How do you see this one? Do you like the Vikings side here at lower popularity, or do you think the reigning Super Bowl champs get their stuff together in this spot?
Yeah, I do like the Vikings as a value play in pick 'em pools. It's pretty close, and I'll say this: we've been talking about the Eagles all year, right? Even when they were 4-0, we were questioning that they didn't look good. Their offense is not as explosive as last year. There are to me, there are clear issues with this team relative to what we saw a year ago. Can they get that turned around? Maybe. We haven't seen it yet. Barkley is that offensive line is not playing great. Hurts is not processing, is not like pushing the ball to his talented receivers. And then they had Jalen Carter out again last week, which I think he'll be back. But and the Giants kind of went all over him. So I think the question for me is more like, where does the Eagles offense go? And we've now seen 6 straight weeks of it almost being like they shouldn't have won all 4 of the games they did. So was that the wake-up call or not? I'm leaning like there may be some systemic issues with the line compared to what we've seen in the past with this team. And they're just not going to be at the level they were as a Super Bowl contender last year. They're still they'll be in the mix. They can win games. But this is a tough road game against a tough defense that has now had a week to get healthy after being over in Europe for 2 weeks. And I think regardless of which quarterback, I think it's going to be determined on that line against the Eagles line. I do think the Vikings do have an edge there.
Yeah, especially getting healthier on that offensive line, getting some guys back. That should really help. And also, I lean under for this game too. That's the over under is 43 total points. I haven't placed that bet yet, but I kind of like it. I think both offenses could struggle a little bit. Obviously, we know Minnesota's quarterback play very much in question. Regardless, I think McCarthy starts. I think Kevin O'Connell's being a little bit coy in not announcing a starter, just trying to throw the Eagles off a little bit. But regardless of who starts, it's a little bit of a question there. But yeah, Minnesota getting that offensive line healthy should be able to run the ball. Playing at home definitely helps too against an Eagles team just trying to figure things out. So our second value pick in game winner pools, it disgusts me to say this, but we have value on the New York Jets, Jason, hosting the Carolina Panthers. They are 1.5 to 2 point underdogs. The Jets are.
Yeah.
Public, as you can imagine, is not high on them. 31% of people are taking the Jets in game winner pools, thus creating value because we have them at about 50.8% win odds on Pool Genius. The market gives them about 47% win odds. So I would ask if you like the Jets here, but nobody really likes the Jets in their current state. So I'll rephrase the question, say, do you like the value spot enough to take the Jets?
Well, I think this one's going to come up in a bit later, but we will talk about the Jets here. Man, that was ugly. Justin Fields, I mean, Justin Fields had issues throughout his career. He does not process, read defenses, get rid of the ball. He takes sacks. He took 9 of them. I mean, they had negative net passing yards.
And they
And
still
almost
won.
won the
Yeah.
game. And almost won the game. Because
If they would have had
defense did
positive
step up.
passing yards, if they would have completed one more pass for
They would have
11
won.
yards, they
They
would
would
have
have
been
won.
in field goal range at the end there and had a chance to win the game, which is
amazing.
it's unbelievable.
So I feel like, do you like that you're getting a team that's kind of desperate and hasn't won yet, going against a team on the road who's played really well at home recently, but we haven't seen it on the road. And with the popularity discount, I'm probably looking at playing against popularity in an ugly game. And your hope, I don't think you're winning a shootout in this game with the Jets. Your hope is it's somewhat similar to last week, but maybe like, why are the Jets not just like, is Fields resistant to it? It's not a good passer. Just run the read option, like literally, like try to do something different if you're going to keep him at his quarterback, because he's not a pocket passer, and he will not be. I think that die is cast, and we've seen it yet again in another spot. But he did enough last year at Pittsburgh, even though it was ugly, to win some games for that team. Obviously, a different type of team. Um, Try to play to his strengths. But yeah, I think this is if the Jets are in, it's a grinded out type of game where they don't allow Rico Dowdle to do what he's done against in the last 2 weeks against the Dolphins and against the Cowboys.
Yeah, so looking beyond this, and like you said, we're gonna bring this up later. A little bit of foreshadowing there, but I'm just gonna speak to this from like a game theory contest standpoint. Definitely comes down to where you are in your standings. I think this is one if you're trying to make up ground. Sure, why not? Let's go with the Jets. The numbers all add up. Pretty decent leverage spot if you need that leverage. If you don't need that leverage, if you're close to the top spot, prize spot, whatever, um, you can go with Carolina if you feel that is the safer choice. That is, I mean, obviously all these picks come down to your intuition and everything, looking at the numbers on top of that. But that's the way I would play it. And I actually do have a strong lean on this game. We're going to get to that a little bit later. So, our third pick in the value pick section for game winner pools, we have the Atlanta Falcons traveling across the country, 3-point underdogs at the San Francisco 49ers. We are giving the Falcons 46.3% win odds. Public's only picking them 28% of the time. So, what do you see here, Jason? Obviously, the Falcons coming off a big win Monday Night Football at home against the Bills. San Francisco lost last week, but they're getting a little bit healthier. We don't have the full injury report in front of us here on Wednesday afternoon, but it's expected to be that they're going to get a couple pieces back. Is that correct?
Yeah, in fact, I'm just checking because we had practices going on as we record, especially on the West Coast. I think Purdy's probably going to play. It
Yeah,
seems
it's
like
sort
Kittle's
of
going to
trending in
try.
that direction. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like Kittle's he's eligible to come off of IR, and we'll have to see if there's any setbacks. But I think they're trying to push Kittle to be back. So, I mean, they are going to get a little healthier. And that could impact where this line moves slightly off that field goal number. So you might keep an eye on that. That's it. I mean, I like Atlanta. I've liked them in the preseason stuff. They were inconsistent. That road loss at Carolina, 30-0, is baffling in the context of the rest of their year. I mean, because they look like the better team against the Bills. They went to Minnesota and played really well, and they should have beat the Bucs. I mean, so for most of the year, they've looked like a borderline playoff type team that I think can win this game on the road with the offensive weapons they have. Penix has been okay, but they have enough weapons around him. Bijan looked really good.
Drake London.
Drake
Had a great
London.
game. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it's really stepping up. And so this, and the defense playing better. So I like Atlanta as a live dog here in pools where they're unpopular. For sure. I do think they're in play. The San Francisco team may be getting healthier on offense, but you know what? Now they lost Bosa a few weeks ago, and they just lost Red Warner. It's pretty hard to find two defensive players on a team that are as valuable as those two, and now they're both gone. So, I mean, that's going to have a long-term impact on this. San Francisco is going to have to score points to beat teams, I think now. They're going to have to piece it together on defense without those two leaders.
Yeah, definitely. And you can keep an eye on the public pick rates as the week goes on. You can see that in our football pick'em data grid. Obviously, Jason writes an article every week too that accompanies that data grid, points out all the value picks, some strategy notes on what you should be looking at, and then the tool itself. You can input your pool settings, where you are in the standings, everything like that, and it will optimize and point out recommendations specific to those things. And you can get that. I will drop the link below for the football pick'em tool. And if you haven't tried it out yet, you want to try it free, we are offering a 3-day trial on that, so you can check it out. No credit card required. So looking beyond the football pick'em space and your football pick'em pools, let's get to our favorite spread picks of the week. I'm going to start with you, Jason. What do you got?
Well, I've got several I like, but let's start with one everybody's going to hate, I think.
Oh, this is a Jason Lisk
Yeah,
special.
let's start with the one
It's
you're
the
that
ones
I
that
had
you
pretty.
loathe.
Yes, the ones that people loathe. Uh, Denver -6.5 at home against the Giants. Denver
Yeah, you're right.
laying 6.5. I think they're the least popular favorite in our pool data. That jives with what I've heard from hearing just people talk about how the Broncos have looked. We saw them look. We just talked about the Jets game, but they were the team on the other end of that did not look good on offense and letting the Jets hang around. Whereas the Giants are coming off that big win on Thursday Night Football. Cam Scadaboo's ripping his shirt off with Ryan Fitzpatrick. It's a party in New York. Dart and Scadaboo, this and that. Celebration City. Why wouldn't you take the dog? Well, I'm going to lay Denver coming back from London. My gosh, how are they going to? They looked awful, and now they're coming off a flight from London back to Denver. So many reasons why the public is down on Denver. This line's holding at 6.5. The least popular favorite in our poll data. We had 1 week where nobody was under 50%, but we've had 5 of the 6. Those teams have gone 4-1 against the spread. These unpopular favorites. All 4 covers were handily by more than double digits. The only non-cover was Houston versus Tampa Bay on a last-second touchdown. So they were covering until the final 30 seconds of that game. And so these unpopular favorites, the last favorite this large that was even remotely this unpopular, they were not as unpopular as Denver this week, were Houston against Tennessee. You remember a few weeks ago. Nobody loved our Houston pick in Survivor pools. Yeah. Aided it at -6.5, -7. They won 26-0.
Yeah, looks great in hindsight.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm going against what everybody thinks this week. I'm going contrarian. I'm taking this great defense. The defense that just held somebody to negative passing yards, playing at home against a rookie quarterback who has ran well, but it's not like he has great targets, and it's not like he's consistent as a passer yet. And so I think this is a danger spot. I like the Giants long term. I think they're trending up and going to be tougher down the stretch than they would have been with Russell Wilson. I think the move to guard is obviously the correct move. But I do like Denver's defense in this spot.
Yeah. And so we say this all the time, that there are some variable teams out there. We always call the Dallas Cowboys a variable team because they perform so differently on the road versus at home. And there's just so many things that could go, play the game out differently depending on how their defense shows up that day, things like that. When you put 2 rookies at the centerpiece of an entire team, not just the offense, but leading the entire team in Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo, that really cranks up the variability meter. Though, wouldn't you agree? And then you put that and you add the other variable of going into a very hostile crowd, playing an elevation at Mile High against a really good defense. And we saw Jackson Dart. He looked great in his first start against the Chargers. He did his thing. Second start on the road at the Saints, turnovers were an issue. And he looked very much a rookie playing in his second game. That wasn't even that tough of a road environment at New Orleans against a sort of middle of the pack Saints defense. So you consider that this is sort of the extreme of that. Really good defense, tough road environment, could really crank that up. And obviously, I think the Broncos offense, I don't think they're as bad as what they showed last week. We've seen a lot of ups and downs from them. Yeah. Obviously, there's upside if Bo Nix can figure it out and rekindle that form from last year, at least just a little bit, right? So I see what you're getting at here. If it's above 7, I still kind of like the Giants. I am seeing 6.5s and 7s across the board here on Wednesday afternoon. So for me, it really depends on where the number is, but I respect the pick. All right. When you first told me that, I was like, no, I might want the Giants in an upset pick. Why are you taking the Broncos?
Well, and so that high variability makes sense more as an upset pick, right?
Yeah.
If you're gonna,
yeah, it could go either way.
Hit it for big money. I wouldn't tease Denver. Like this is
Yeah.
actually, I wouldn't tease this Denver line for the reasons you talked about, like the high variability aspect down to a half. Because I think you're getting the 6.5, you're getting the key number, and I would just lay it. And what you're rooting for is them to hold the Giants to under like 17 points, right? And then
Yeah.
I think they cover this number.
Yeah, and I think that's a good call there. For my pick of the week, my favorite spread pick of the week, this was sort of a game time decision. I was coming down right before, we went on to record here, and I am going to go with the Panthers -1.5 on the road at the New York Jets. And as I say it out loud, Jason, I don't feel great about it. I was confident in my favorite spread pick last week, Kansas City, which came home. I am much less confident in this pick just because it's the Panthers who are, I mean, I am not convinced they are sort of in that mid-range category of an average team yet. I think they're still a tier below that. I think most people, most NFL fans would agree with that assessment. They've looked good in the past couple weeks. They beat the Cowboys, squeaked past them, and the Dolphins, both home games. And we noted that. I mean, I picked them as an upset pick last week, and we noticed that they're a lot better at home than they are on the road. In fact, Bryce Young, I think you can look this up, but I think I saw he's 1-16 on the road as a starter, which is terrible. Like, and that really shouldn't be surprising. But everything we said about the Jets earlier is also true. And I like the Panthers' run defense. They have been good against the run. I think they can slow down Breece Hall and limit those options, force the Jets to pass, which is what you want the Jets to do because they are not good at passing. Like you said, negative net passing yards last week. And now Garrett Wilson is probably going to lose this or be out of this game. So they lose him on offense. Down one more weapon. That's just what this passing offense needs. I fully understand the risk here. I fully understand that this is a square side and the Panthers on the road. A team like that with that profile on the road isn't a great pick overall, but I'm just saying, given all the circumstances surrounding the Jets, I will take the Panthers here. I do like their running game. That does travel. Running the ball, it's that old adage, right? Running the ball and stopping the run is the recipe to win games on the road. And I think the Panthers can do that here. So that's why I'm taking them on a short spread with the caveat that I don't feel extremely great about it.
Well, yeah, they're not used to being in a road favorite role. That would be a concern. I think we just looked it up. Their last road favorite win was 2021 against Davis Mills and the Houston Texans.
Who was the quarterback for that?
In 2021 for the Panthers, that would have been post Cam. Who would it have been for the
Sam Darnold?
No, I have to look back.
Early in the years?
Yeah, possibly. And then they haven't covered the last three, and they haven't been a favorite on the road all the last couple. So it is
Sam
a different
Darnold
spot, and like you said, I think there are matchup reasons to like the Panthers. There's how will they handle this spot reasons to be concerned, like they're not used to being on the road in this spot. And maybe this Jets team is just like not just bad, but like really bad, right? Like devolving downhill like we've seen with the Titans over the last year and a half type of bad, where the coach seems like he's maybe over his head and doesn't have a lick of aggressiveness or offensive, like, I don't know, the ability to manage an offense at all.
Yeah. To help his offense out, to scheme around the deficiency.
Like things that concern you, where I think you're fine going against the Jets. Obviously, they have not won, and teams in that position sometimes can be values because we overrate how bad they are. But it's certainly in play that the Jets are just worse than we thought, which was already low on a curve. But that they're just, without Garrett Wilson, with no passing game, they're just bad. And it could get worse. They could be trading Breece Hall within a very short period of time, depending on how this week goes. You could see that happen, that trade come down if they get a good offer. So this team may be even trending worse after this game. So yeah, all that's live. Panthers have looked better. That run defense is a pleasant surprise because last year they were a play against. Anytime you got a running back, you could play against the Panthers and get a touchdown. And that hasn't been the case so far this year.
Yep. So there you have it. Those are our value picks for week number 7 in spread pools and game winner pools, and also our 2 favorite picks against the spread here for NFL week number 7. Once again, if you are looking for our upset picks, that is located in a different video that will be flashing on the screen here soon as I'm done talking. And also I'll link that in the description below. So good luck in your NFL game winner pools for week number 7.